Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Reese Thompson.
And I'm Sullivan Beach. And Reese, I don't know if you were outside or not today, but it was pretty warm outside. Did you get a chance to get out and see like any of the nice weather?
I did actually. It was beautiful outside and something we haven't seen in a long time.
No, like absolutely. Like it was like so cold like the past couple of days, and then finally today I got the chance to wear shorts. But our forecaster, Lexi Belpolsi, joins us now. Lexi, are we going to see more of those warm temperatures like we saw today, or is it going to kind of like cool down a little bit in the next couple of days?
Yeah, good evening, Athens. Currently it is 59 degrees with partly cloudy skies and winds from our west at about 9 miles per hour right now. Now, today we did see some beautiful sunny skies. We did start seeing a couple clouds roll into our area as we started going into more our evening hours tonight. But other than that, it has absolutely been gorgeous today. Nothing to really complain about. Now, that's mainly because we do have this system coming through into our area as the week progresses. But on that note today, we hit 64 degrees, which is actually 20 degrees above average, which our average is usually 44. We had mostly sunny skies and our low of 32 degrees. Now tonight we'll have that low of 32 degrees, partly cloudy skies, our sunrise at 7:03 a.m. And let me just say, it's going to continue to be pretty decent outside these next couple of days, but we'll get more into that later in the show.
Athens City Council moves forward 2 resolutions. One of them would declare the city a safe haven for gender-affirming care.
The other calls on lawmakers not to tax important funds for the city.
Newswatch reporter Jack Green was at last night's meeting and joins us live in studio with a full breakdown.
Reese and Sully, the first resolution on the council discussed would make the city a safe haven for individuals seeking and providing gender-affirming care. This follows the passage of the SAFE Act, an Ohio law restricting gender-affirming care for minors and threatening legal action for the physicians who provide it. The Ohio University chapter of the Young Democratic Socialists of America put forward the resolution. The group's president says this resolution is vital to protecting trans and non-binary people in Athens. Council members say while they support the resolution, they want the city law director to look it over before they pass it. Other members say passing the resolution is a chance for the city to take a stance and support any individual's health care choice.
I really like this. I think, yeah, I'm going to vote yes. But my only concern is how the state of Ohio will react. Could make us a little bit of a target for those Republicans.
Land of the free and the home of the brave sometimes means that we have to be brave in taking on resolutions that comment on the needs of those who are often marginalized and underrepresented.
The anti-discrimination resolution is just one of 2 resolution council members discussed last night. They also looked at a resolution calling on lawmakers not to impose a tax on municipal bonds. The city treasurer says this is how the city funds a majority of its projects, and if a tax is imposed, it could hit the city where it hurts. He says this year alone, the city is expected to pay over $600,000 in interest. But if lawmakers tax municipal bonds, that number could grow to over $1 million. City Council member Solveig Spjelnes says the tax is preposterous since the federal government continues to push responsibilities onto local and state governments.
I think every municipality in the country should step up and go, what the heck are you doing? We're getting blamed for stuff that we can't control because you guys are sticking it to us. I mean, we got to stand up. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Reese and Sully, powerful words from council members. Now, both resolutions are expected to be voted on at next week's council meeting. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Green, live in studio.
Thanks, Jack. And WOUB is your source for the news in Southeast Ohio. For the latest news across the region, head to our website, woub.org, or download the WOUB app.
The Nelsonville City Police Department says don't be a victim. Scams are getting more sophisticated, and the department wants you to be aware. In a phone scam circulating in the area, scammers are impersonating police officers to obtain money from victims. NPD has received a few reports of such calls. The impersonators call their victims and tell them there is a warrant out for their arrest for a certain amount or fine or a minor infraction. The scammer tells people they have the option to get out of their, quote, violation by paying them money. If you're a victim of the scam, you can call the number on your screen. A third business announced it's closing its doors along West Union Street. The owner blames construction at the corner of Union and Court Street and says the city was no help.
There's something that weighs nothing, ideas. They have no concept of what it takes to run a small business.
Sarah Koya Bryant, the owner of Cool Digs, says she had no choice but to pack up for good.
We were at the point where I couldn't even pay people to be here all day.
Bryant says ongoing construction at the corner of Court and Union Street has blocked the sidewalk to her shop for months, forcing her to go out of business.
Everybody's gone around and around, and they get used to that pattern of behavior of going around, and they don't walk on the side of the road.
Renovations on a historic uptown building for a hotel-style residence next door called the Lostro started last summer. The sidewalk was originally only supposed to be closed for a month. That was until crews discovered an underground vault stretching under West Union Street. The contractor requested an extension so crews could seal it. City Service Safety Director Andy Stone says it is necessary to keep the sidewalk blocked off for renovations.
It's not in Athens' interest to include all of the local businesses in that area to have a vacant, prominent building at a location that prominent in the city. And
Stone says the city granted the contractors another extension to close the sidewalk on one condition, that a pedestrian walkway like this was created, something that Bryant says she has fought for since these fences first went up.
Well, guess what? You could both consider the interest of others and not have the building sit empty.
Stone says the city's main interest is refurbishing old buildings like the Lostro.
Maintaining the infrastructure of the city is exactly what the city needs to be doing to support local businesses.
Bryant is holding a local rally Friday to honor what she says is the death of 3 small businesses by Lostro in uncaring city government.
Students, faculty, and staff at Muskingum University were on lockdown last night as the sheriff's office investigated reports of a possible active shooter on campus. However, officers on scene determined there was no shooter on campus, but a staff member misunderstood students who were talking about a loud domestic dispute from earlier in the day. Muskingum County Sheriff says he's better safe than sorry.
There was a large response from law enforcement as well as fire and EMS. However, we do think in doing the investigation now that we think this was probably something that was misunderstood.
The sheriff says this was a successful response to the situation at hand because of his department's previous experience with active shooters on Muskingum University's campus.
All schools, colleges, and universities in Ohio must comply with the state's new bathroom law. Transgender students from kindergarten through college at Ohio public and private schools are now banned from using multi-person bathrooms that fit their gender identities. Just hours ago today, the state law went into effect. This means students will have to use bathrooms for their gender assigned at birth, but they can still use single-use restrooms. In response to University of Cincinnati began displaying the new signage saying biological female and biological male in bathrooms on campus. This is one of the few things students at the University of Cincinnati are protesting against. Students are also against the institution's decision to roll back all diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Last month, President Donald Trump signed an executive order calling for the elimination of DEI in higher education. UC's president says the school must apply with the Department of Education's letter requiring the end of DEI by February 28th. If not, the federal office will hold non-compliant universities accountable. Protesters said many students and staff will be affected by the upcoming DEI changes.
Senate Bill 53 is making a comeback in the Ohio State House. This bill could make protesters pay for building damages. Under this bill, protesters will be hit with civil penalties for vandalizing buildings and other structures. In addition to criminal penalties, they could face charges like rioting, aggravated rioting, and vandalism. Injured parties such as local businesses could sue protesters for damages to their property via court order. Representatives in support of the bill say 2020 protests following the murder of George Floyd led to $1.2 million in damages for the city of Columbus. Vivek Ramaswamy is officially running to be Ohio's next governor. He announced his candidacy at his campaign rally in Cincinnati last night, and now President Trump is backing Ramaswamy in the race. Ramaswamy ran for president last year, but dropped out of the race before the primaries to support Trump. He is a former biotech entrepreneur whom President Trump tapped to help lead the White House's Department of Government Efficiency alongside Elon Musk. But the 39-year-old stopped his work with Doge to prepare his run for governor.
I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to start and grow a new business. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to raise a young family.
He will also make several other stops in Ohio, including Toledo, New Albany, and Strongsville. And coming up, Kentucky reels from devastating floods, what the federal government is doing to help those affected.
And the IRS is facing federal cuts, what this means for your return this tax season.
And it was absolutely beautiful today, but will we expect that as we go into the last half of our week? We'll find out more when Newswatch returns.
In this episode, Deborah Messing and Melanie Linsky uncovered their roots. This has never been discussed in your family.
No.
Your great-grandfather was using an alias.
Dodgy. I want to know everything about him. They're leaving everything that they've ever known and going to a new country.
Meet your DNA cousin.
Really?
Yes.
What? How surprised were you when this was the outcome?
I couldn't believe it.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB.
In the beginning, there have always been those of us looking for stories.
This is a huge moment.
I feel like there's nothing around that can stop me.
It's your being. It's who you are.
We need to do something to make a change.
I know that there are people like me up there.
We need to have a voice.
It's what you do next that matters.
You start to discover a deeper part of yourself.
My whole world changed instantly.
Asking tough questions to those in power.
There is this consensus that Democrats are somehow out of touch with the voters.
All of us have to do a better job of seeing the very real pain that exists across this country.
What did you make of the high degree of dysfunction within the Republican conference?
I always felt that it was broken.
And covering events as they unfold.
This continues to be a dangerous situation. Almost everyone is either evacuated or lost a home in this fire.
Good evening, Athens. Currently, it is 59 degrees with partly cloudy skies and winds from our west at 9 miles per hour. Now, we did have an absolutely gorgeous day today, and that'll stick around for a little bit, but we do have a little bit of a system making its way toward our area. We do have a bit of a cold front coming through, but we also will have a little bit of a warm front. We'll get more into that in a second, but today we had mostly sunny skies with a high of 64, which was actually 20 degrees above our average of 44, and a low of 32. Now, tonight, we'll have that low of 32, partly cloudy skies, and tomorrow's sunrise at 7:03 a.m. Tomorrow, we can expect much of the same, except a little bit of a chance of rain, mainly as we go into the overnight tomorrow, but with a high of 59 and a low of 42. Now, tomorrow, we do have a very small possibility of some isolated thunderstorms, so do not be shocked if you hear a rumble of thunder or two. This is mainly just to show that we have that really small chance of those thunderstorms, but that is because of this warm front here that's going to be coming through mainly tomorrow night. Now, if you remember a couple weeks ago when we had those flood warnings and flood watches, we had a couple rumbles of thunder overnight that Friday night. That's going to be similar to what we're going to be seeing tomorrow with this warm front. Now, a warm front usually taps into more moisture. We usually have maybe heavier rainfalls, those possible thunderstorms. That's what we're going to be mainly seeing is those rumble or two of thunder. And behind that, we will have that bit of a cold front as we go more into our night tomorrow night. We're going to have that warm front come through. So tomorrow night, we aren't going to get super cold. We are going to be more in the low to mid 40s as that warm front will come through, and then we'll start to warm up as we go into our Thursday morning. But then by the time we get into Thursday, we'll have that cold front come through. Luckily, it's a pretty weak cold front. We're not going to see anything significantly cold like we did last week. We are going to still stay in the 40s and 50s as we go into the end of our week. Now, with our 7-day, we can visualize that a lot more. Now, we do have that chance, those chances of showers Wednesday and Thursday, and that's mainly going to be in those overnight hours. We're still going to stay in the 50s for the most part until we go into Sunday, when we'll have another cold front make its way through. This one a little bit stronger than the one we're going to be seeing as we go into our night Wednesday night. But that cold's not going to really stick around. We're going to go shoot right back up into the upper 40s and even into the upper 50s again as we go into our week next week. And with these above average temperatures, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. We are going to have some cloudier skies, some chances of rain. But other than that, if you're someone who likes the warm weather, this is the week for you as we go more into our March. We'll take it back to Reese and Sully at the desk.
And the death toll continues to rise. 22 people are dead, and in many areas are devastated from the floods. President Trump approved a major disaster declaration for Kentucky last night, following an initial emergency declaration last week. The president's action will make federal funding available for people in impacted areas. The assistance can include grants for temporary housing and other programs to help people and businesses recover. Federal funding will also be made available to state and local governments and certain nonprofit organizations.
Tax season is in full swing, and so are the headlines about IRS layoffs and cuts. Karen Kafa has more on what this means for your tax return and refunds this year.
Last week, the IRS was expected to start layoffs of more than 6,000 employees as part of the Trump administration's broader cuts to the federal workforce at the agency's busiest time of year.
We know that when the IRS is understaffed, as it was in the 2010s, it makes refunds slower. It means they have a hard time answering their phones if you've got questions.
Vanessa Williamson, a senior fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution, says the cuts could impact important taxpayer resources.
There's some evidence that a lot of the cuts are going to come to people who help small business owners, who have some of the most complicated taxes of anyone. So if you haven't filed, I recommend you file as soon as possible.
Tom O'Sabin, Director of Tax Content and Government Relations at the National Association of Tax Professionals, says amid leaner IRS staffing, taxpayers should try to limit the need for person-to-person contact with the agency.
What it means is if there's any possibility to electronically file your return, do so. Whether you're using a tax professional or you're filing on your own, or you use the direct file system, which is relatively new at the IRS, try to submit your return electronically.
O'Sabin adds that careful preparation can also minimize omissions and errors that could take longer to correct. And no matter the headlines, he says, to complete that return.
In reading a lot of these social media posts and the like, there's been some talk about waiting to file or don't bother to file. I think that's a fool's recommendation.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
The Vatican says Pope Francis remains in critical but stable condition. Officials say that his blood parameters are also stable. He is currently battling double pneumonia while also continuing to work from the hospital. The Vatican's latest update says the 88-year-old Pope underwent a follow-up CAT scan this morning to check the lung infection, but it provided no details of what the scan showed, suggesting the results were not back yet. Doctors said the prognosis remains guarded.
Crafting retailer Jo-Ann Fabrics is set to close all of its locations, and that includes the one on East State Street in Athens. The chain filed for bankruptcy twice over the last year with plans to keep some locations open. But now Jo-Ann Fabrics says it will close all of its over 800 locations. It will end a run of more than 80 years in business. The company opened its first location in Cleveland, Ohio in 1943. Going out of business, sales will be held at all Jo-Ann stores. The chain will no longer accept returns, and gift cards will only be valid through this Friday.
Next in sports, Ohio men's basketball is coming off their biggest win of the year against Akron and are looking to take this momentum into tonight's game against Western Michigan. Plus, find out more about the Bobcats' last 4 regular season games coming up next.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
When you put voices together, there's an energy in the air.
Keeping Black traditions alive, it's so important.
The story was meant to be told.
This feels so good.
Black people can also have those stories too.
Ron Carter's the Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker of the bass.
To me, he's like this god.
Mr. Ron Carter!
James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Miles Davis, Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for being on the most recordings.
Next May will be my 80th birthday. How long do I want to be fighting for the survival of music?
There's only one Ron Carter.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
On American Experience, the enigmatic leader of the NAACP.
Walter White was the best lobbyist for the NAACP ever.
He was arguably the most influential black man in mid-century America.
Walter White makes the NAACP into a national player.
The question is, why is he forgotten?
Forgotten hero, Walter White and the NAACP on American Experience.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome to sports. I'm Josh Herner. Ohio men's basketball will hit the road and take on Western Michigan tonight for the second time this season. The Bobcats defeated the Broncos 94-69 earlier this year and are looking to add on to their two-game winning streak. Ohio is coming off of one of their biggest wins of the season against the conference-leading Akron Zips. The Bobcats have won 3 of their last 5, also picking up wins against Bowling Green and Central Michigan. Their last loss came against Kent State on February 14th, a game Ohio had a chance to win at the last second. The Bobcats will play 4 more conference games before the MAC tournament, including this Saturday against rival Miami. Head coach Jeff Bowles wants to see his team finish out strong in their last 4 games of the season.
You know, like I said before, we want to be playing our best basketball, and to get a win of this magnitude against, you know, the team that's on top, you know, it's going to come down to those 3 games in 3 days. So, you know, now we know, you know, we can beat them. You know, now it's a matter of finishing out strong these 4 games. Hopefully, you know, we see them at some point in the MAC tournament. You know, and then you got to do it for another 40 minutes.
Ohio has moved up to a tie for 3rd place in the conference, putting them with the Toledo Golden Rockets. Despite the loss, Akron is still in 1st place in the conference and can clinch a share of the regular season title as early as next Tuesday. Western Michigan is currently in as the last team to make the conference tournament, with Bowling Green and Central Michigan 1 game behind. The Northern Illinois University Board of Trustees will vote Thursday to decide if its non-football teams can move into the Horizon League and depart from the Mid-American Conference, according to a report by The Athletic. The school's football program accepted an invitation to join the Mountain West starting in the 2026 season. Leaving the conference in football led to the university's other programs needing to find a new home. NIU put in a request to keep wrestling and gymnastics in the MAC due to the Horizon League not offering them. Northern Illinois will have to pay a $1.4 million entrance fee if the board votes yes. The Megs boys ended their regular season with only 1 loss, earning themselves a bye to the sectional semifinals. They took on number 8 seeded Hillsborough last night. The Marauders were able to take down the Indians 72-56. Megs jumped out to an early 15-point lead at the end of the first quarter, in large part thanks to forward Carson Davis. Despite Hillsborough keeping within striking distance in the second and third quarters, it was not enough to stop the Marauders' high-powered offense. Davis led the way, scoring 33 points and grabbing 7 rebounds. Reed Brinegar also added in 19 points and 12 rebounds. After the win, head coach Ryan Davis highlighted the team's defense.
We had a little bit of different defensive focus, and we did a good job with that tonight. That was nice to see that we could make that adjustment. I didn't know if we'd have to adjust back to things we'd done all year, but we didn't, so that was good.
The Eastern Eagles are also looking to head to the district final tonight as they take on Beaver Eastern. The Eagles are coming off of a 59-46 victory against fellow TVC Hawking foe Waterford in the first round. Eastern was led by junior Derek Barnes, who scored 22 points against the Wildcats. Beaver Eastern is currently 20-3 on the year so far and took down Adina 59-36 in the first round. To stay up to date with all playoff hoops around the TVC, follow WUB's Hardwood Heroes on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram. Episode 7 of Hardwood Heroes will air this Sunday at 11 on WUB and the WUB YouTube channel. Back to you at the desk, Reese and Sully.
Thank you, Josh. Still ahead, scientists at NASA have a new theory about the distinct color of Mars.
The gentle storytelling and picturesque setting of All Creatures Great and Small on Masterpiece continue to enchant PBS viewers. In a new special, we'll discuss the warm, folksy wisdom found in these timeless tales. We'll hear from the cast and creators of the show, and also local residents, including the daughter and son of the author. Join us for All Creatures Great and Small, the wisdom of the Dales.
Sunday at 8:30 on WOUB.
I was born for duty, not happiness. You are the mother of France. You're stronger than you know.
The economy is hanging by a thread.
Let me help you.
You have no understanding of politics. You have done enough to the crown.
Reputation is everything. Destroy ours.
There's danger everywhere. No one can be trusted.
I will get us out of this mess.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
There are thousands of discoveries. Wow.
This is huge.
This is really exciting.
This limestone otherworld is unlike anywhere else in Ireland.
The bridge collapsed. Never seen anything of that magnitude before.
People are sometimes unknowingly trafficking in looted art. It's the greatest art scandal of the 20th century.
Wednesday on WOUB.
Mars has long been known as the red planet. Now, scientists think they have uncovered the mystery behind Mars's distinctive coloring. Because of the lack of water on Mars's surface, researchers previously thought that the iron in Mars's rocks reacted with oxygen, creating a rust-colored dust. But new research suggests a different mineral that contains water may be responsible for Mars's red hue. Scientists think the mineral formed on ancient Mars when there was water on the planet. Their findings were published Tuesday in the journal Nature Communications.
Yeah, so we're going to be pretty warm these next couple of days as we go into our weekend. We're going to be sitting in the upper 50s tomorrow and even in just the low 50s Thursday and Friday, so it'll be a lot nicer than it has been.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. From all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Reese Thompson.
And I'm Sullivan Beach. Have a good night.